Time now for Back Pages tonight here on Sky Sports News, bringing you a first look at the sports stories in the morning's newspapers. Joining us tonight are the Mirror's chief sports writer Andy Dunn and the Sun's chief sports writer Dave Kidd. Evening to you both. We'll talk to you in just a moment, but let's quickly run through the back pages. Well, as you can see there, Emma Raducanu and her heroics at Wimbledon are taking centre stage there. Raducanu roars on. In the Sun, 3 lions on his shirt, heart on his sleeve, focused on Jude Bellingham ahead of the quarter-final against Switzerland. In the Express, Harry's pain. He's got a lot that he wants to put right, has England's key man. He's also the focus in the Star as well. They've gone with the headline, Kane relief. In the Telegraph, big picture there of Emma Raducanu after her heroics at Wimbledon, but also the focus on Jude Bellingham after his suspended one-match ban. Yeah, and that's probably the best place to start with England and Jude Bellingham, as he is the focus in a lot of the papers tonight. Now, I wonder, Andy, Gareth Southgate says that he's not worried about Jude Bellingham and his temperament. Are you?
No, I'm not worried. And to be honest with you, it's a bit odd that we're thinking about. Obviously, Bellingham, just to set the scene, is one of 5 England players who are on a yellow card. And should they get another yellow card against Switzerland, they would miss the semi-final. But we are then assuming that England are going to beat Switzerland. So I'd first of all like to concentrate on beating Switzerland by whatever means they can. In Bellingham's case, I think Gareth had a really good point when he said, listen, with reference to the offence that he got the UEFA fine for, he said, listen, don't forget, he is a special case, but he is only 21 years of age. And can you imagine, as a 21-year-old, the adrenaline that's going through your veins when you do something like Jude Bellingham did against Slovakia in the 95th minute in Cologne? I mean, you can understand that he can maybe, basically lose the plot a little bit. I think that Southgate will make him well aware. He says Jude is a very intelligent player. And bear in mind, Bellingham does get a lot of attention. I mean, on the pitch, obviously off the pitch, but on the pitch in terms of physical attention. And I think he's handled it quite well at these championships. He's got 1 yellow card. I mean, incidentally, I think the yellow card should have been not rescinded, but there should be a watershed where they go. I don't think it's fair that you get a yellow card in a group game and a quarter-final and miss the semi. But that's another discussion. But I think Bellingham will be aware that he has to keep his cool. And I think he's mature enough. He's shown incredible maturity out in Spain to understand that that's what he's got to do. But first and foremost, he's got to be totally committed to the cause tomorrow. And I think Gareth was playing it down because he said, listen, I want him to play his natural game.
We've had this kind of conversation before, haven't we, Dave, when England players play with a lot of emotion, the likes of Paul Gascoigne, the likes of Wayne Rooney. How difficult is it for a player like Bellingham, who's as good as he is, to balance the emotions, the adrenaline with wanting to be competitive?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit unfair on Bellingham because we're haunted by the past because we've been watching England for so long. So we remember Beckham's red card in 1998 and Rooney's red card in 2006 and even Gazza's tears in 1990. None of that's really got anything to do with Jude Bellingham. And I agree with Dunny earlier, as he said. I think Bellingham's handled himself pretty well. He gets kicked an awful lot. He's always a target for physicality from the opposition. I think he deals with it pretty well, actually. There's a certain arrogance about him, but I like that. I think it's not a typically English trait, and I think that's probably good because typically English traits haven't got us very far in tournaments in previous years. So I don't want Bellingham to, be shackled. I want him to be himself as a player, as a man, and I think that's what Southgate's. I think that's Southgate's attitude towards it as well. And I like that. I think Gareth's done an awful lot to try and make us forget about the ghosts of the past in tournaments, and that this question about Bellingham's temperament has really got more to do with maybe Rooney's temperament, Beckham's temperament, and Gascoigne's temperament rather than his own.
Yeah, rather than focusing on the current. Now, I know both of you are out there in Germany and following this England team, and you've both spoken to Harry Kane today, which, again, he is taking up a lot of the space in the back pages in the newspapers. In the Times, he says it's time to repay Southgate for the faith that the manager has shown in him and the rest of the players. Andy, do you think that's the right mindset to be going into this game, this quarter-final with Switzerland?
Yeah, what he said, Jess, when we spoke to him, myself, Dave, and some other written journalists spoke to him at lunchtime, what he said was that was only part of the motivation, the fact that he's obviously been a pivotal part of a team that lost the World Cup semi-final in 2018, lost the Euro 2020 final on penalties, and of course Harry Kane himself missed the crucial penalty when they lost to France at Qatar 2002 at the last stage. So all those things, he will want to put right. He'll also be conscious, don't forget, of the fact that, listen, he's 30 years of age. Now, he would hope to have another couple of tournaments left in him. But he's probably conscious of the fact that he'll have played more tournaments than he's got left to play in. And, of course, there's this thing that, will always go with Harry Kane at the moment until it stops. And that is he himself, club or country, has not won a trophy. But I thought he was incredibly steely and determined today when he came across. And just on the Gareth Southgate thing, it is, of course, Gareth Southgate's 100th game as England manager. That's why the questions about what they owe Southgate. And no one owes him more personally, perhaps, than Harry Kane, who Southgate put great faith in, made him captain, has backed him all the way. Kane's repaid him, and now he wants to repay him that one bit more. Harry Kane said, listen, Gareth doesn't want any fuss about the 100th game, but if we could give him one present, it'd be to beat Switzerland tomorrow night.
Yeah, and Dave, it's not just Harry Kane that shares this sentiment, because we've heard other players come out and talk to the press about Gareth Southgate and say how much they enjoy playing for him. Mark Gahey as well has said it in recent days. What does it say about Gareth Southgate as a manager that the players still want to play for him, still want to perform for him after so long?
Yeah, I mean, he's done an awful lot to improve the culture around the England squad over the last 8 years. There's no doubt about that. Players used to get an awful lot of people with dodgy sick notes whenever an England international break came along. That's no longer the case. Players enjoy playing for their country. Again, there's a real unity within the squad. They enjoy going away and they look forward to it. That didn't used to be the case a lot of the time in the past. And they have, had 3 successful tournaments, 3 certainly tournaments where they basically played well. This tournament, you have to say, it's not been like that at all. This has been poor. But, there's a lot of credit in the bank for Southgate as far as the players are concerned. And this is almost certainly going to be his last tournament. They'd love to give him a great send-off, get to another final, maybe even win it. The draw has opened up for England. Gareth hates us saying it, but it's true. We are in the weaker half of the draw. We nearly always are. He's got an awful lot of luck with that. He hates us saying it. He thinks it's arrogant. It's not arrogant. I'm not saying looking at Switzerland and England so far this tournament, I'd back Switzerland to win on form. But the fact is, the other 2 quarterfinals on the other half of the draw have got the 4 best teams in the tournament in them. And so England have got a real chance here. It's glaring, and there might not be too many more chances like this for these players, including Harry Kane.
Well, yeah, what do you make of Gareth Southgate's comments then? Because he said it's the English mentality to be entitled, thinking that you're going up against a team like Switzerland and just expecting to walk through it, expecting to win, Dave.
Sorry, just good, Jess. I was at the press conference just a couple of hours ago in the stadium this evening. And Gareth was very, very annoyed when that question was put to him by a TV reporter who said, listen, you're in the weaker half of the draw. And I mean, listen, it's the eve of the game, so you might be a bit tense. But he was incredibly prickly. His instant reply was, that's what's wrong. That's what's wrong. This sense of entitlement, he says. No wonder other countries, accuse us of being arrogant. And he was really quick to have a go at that. He pointed out that on the other side of the draw, some teams are struggling, and he pointed out that there's always teams like Switzerland who step up to the plate. He also pointed out that you just can't go on what the team is on paper and having big names. No, he is very, very. That is his big bugbear.
What's the point of the world rankings then? Do you agree, Andy?
I think. The fact is, Gareth does get lucky with the draw, so he hates us pointing it out. And then it's always, it's English arrogance. And there has been a lot of English arrogance around the national team, not as much as there used to be. I certainly, I don't think any of us in the press room are thinking England are going to walk all over Switzerland. They're a very, very good side, but we have had in 2018 World Cup and in the Euros. last year, as England have been in the weaker half of the draw. They would have had Morocco in the World Cup semi-final if Harry Kane had scored that penalty and would have beaten France. He has had a lot of luck with the draw. He just doesn't like us mentioning it.
Yeah, so, whether Southgate likes the idea of England fans being confident against the Switzerland side, they've got an opportunity here, haven't they? They're going into this quarter-final, and it looks as though Gareth Southgate is going to make some defensive changes to his formation. He's going to change to a back three centre-backs. Is that the right way to go? Do you expect that to bear some fruit for England, Andy?
Yes, I do. I think it's the right way to go. I mean, ironically, Gareth says that, when he's done that before, he's been hammered for it. And now we all think that it's the way to go. I think it's the right way to go if he's bold with it. And that's obviously a big if when it comes to Gareth Southgate's style. If he plays with three centre-backs, Constance, Stones and Walker, who are the wing-backs? For me, it should be Alexander-Arnold on one side and then Saka on the other, and then that frees you up to play. If you wanted to stay with Rice and Manu, then you've got Foden and Bellingham in behind Harry Kane. You could be even more bold and play just Rice, not Manu, and have Cole Palmer in the team. But our reservations, the reason why Gareth's been criticised before when he's played it, is that he's used that to actually play more defenders. So if he plays Trippier and probably Saka and Trippier, three other defenders, Rice and Manu, it all of a sudden looks a bit more defensive. But listen, I genuinely think that it is a bolder ploy. I think it'll work against Switzerland, and on a very simplistic level, let's be honest, they can't really cause any less threat than they've caused so far in 4 games, albeit the fact they've won 2 and drawn 2.
So, Dave, with 3 centre-backs, it makes the wing-back position even more important. Our intrepid reporter, Rob Dorset, is saying that he's expecting to see Trippier and Saka play in those wing-back positions. So no Trent Alexander-Arnold. What do you make of that?
I think I'd have probably preferred Trent Alexander-Arnold as a wing-back. But, I mean, Trippier, I think we're a bit cloudy about the fact Trippier's been playing on the left, which is not his natural position. When he does play on the right, he has a similar sort of threat to Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's very good crosser of the ball, a lot of assists, good dead ball merchant. So I think I agree with Dunny. I think this for the squad we've got at the moment, I think this system works well because of a lack of a fit left back, and Luke Shaw is now more or less fit, but not. They don't want to sort of start him for his first game for 4 or 5 months in a quarter-final. So I think having Saka on the left as a left footer, I think that really does add a bit of balance to a team as well. I don't think it is a negative formation particularly. But I'd have preferred to have Trent there. I think he's been unfair on Trent. He's played central midfield for 2 games where he's not suited to playing, and we're not going to see him in a wing-back role, which I think he really would be suited to. OK then, lads. So what's going to happen? Who's going to go through? Bear in mind, Gareth Southgate may well be watching this and doesn't want you to come over too confident. What's your score predictions? I'll start with you, Andy. I think England will win. I think it'll be a close game. They always are. All games, nearly all games at this stage of the tournament, never mind if it involves England, tend to be very close, very tense. I think England sneak it 1-0. OK, Dave? I say England on penalties. I actually do fancy us to win a penalty shootout. We've got a lot of good penalty takers at the moment, so I'll go England on penalties. Oh my God, that's already started my stomach churning. Thanks, Dave. Welcome back. You're watching Back Pages tonight. We can welcome back to the Mirror's chief sports writer Andy Dunn and the Sun's chief sports writer Dave Kidd. Now, we know 2 of our 4 semi-finalists at the Euros. So we've got this in the I newspaper, which have gone with Auf Wiedersehen Deutschland after Spain have dumped the host Germany out of their own tournament. And France are also through after they beat Portugal on penalties in their quarter-final. France still have not scored from open play. Andy, thinking about Spain, they've been impressive from the very start. They've knocked out the hosts. They've got a team absolutely filled to the brim with talent. They're the favourites now, aren't they? I think they are, Jess. I really do. I watched most of that game today at Dusseldorf Stadium when we were there for the press conferences. Managed to watch most of that game. It was a cracking game, really good game. 2 very good sides. I mean, I felt a little bit sorry for Germany in the end because they played very well. And when I've seen them this tournament, they've been good. And always a little bit sad when the hosts go out. But Spain look a very, very accomplished side. I mean, they really do. And they've got that blend of youth and experience, of Rodri running the show in the centre of midfield. It's all very familiar.
and they really are a good side. And for them to do what they did, i.e. come back after conceding that equaliser in the very, dying stages of normal time, and then to score that winning goal, basically with pretty much in the last minutes of extra time, shows they've got a bit of character as well. Yes, they're the team to beat. And if you'd have seen France against Portugal tonight, you would have had Spain. You will have Spain, as favourites to get past France as well.
Yeah, France have faltered so far, Dave, but we'll focus on Spain. What have you made of them? It's been such a joy to watch Nico Williams on the left-hand side for Spain. He's so entertaining to watch. What have you enjoyed most about Spain so far?
Yeah, and both the young wingers have been outstanding, and they agree with Dunny. Rodri is a tremendous footballer, and then they've got so many flair players around him. They're a really well coached team. I think they've caught a few people by surprise. Really, we didn't think of them as coming to a peak yet, but I think they are now, and they've been the best team in the tournament without a doubt. I think probably Spain-Germany would have been a good final, and it was as good a game as we've seen probably so far in terms of quality and drama. Really, there was I was watching the end of it in a hotel bar actually earlier on, and we don't expect. We always, I think, it's just an age-old thing that we expect the Germans to find a way somehow, even if they don't deserve it. But this was the opposite. It was a sort of crushing blow, and it's all gone very quiet in Germany this evening. We had the horns blaring out in the streets if they won. But it's always a slightly sad moment when the hosts go out of a tournament a little bit early, because it just feels a little bit flatter when you're in the country watching it happen. But Spain certainly worthy winners, definitely.
Yep. And Andy, France also through. Do you think they should be concerned by the fact that they haven't scored from open play yet?
Well, they should be. The only thing they can cling to is the fact that, in a way, much like England, you always think with so many great players that it'll finally click at some stage. I mean, bear in mind, they haven't scored from open play. A couple of own goals and a penalty. I mean, can you imagine what the stick that Gareth Southgate would be getting if we were in a similar position to France, yet they're now in the semi-finals? They will just rely. It's an old cliche about tournament football. In the end, the bottom line is it's the result that counts. France found a way. They often find a way. And again, against Spain, you just think, will Mbappe click then? He has got to come to the party at some stage. Will it be against Spain in Munich on Tuesday?
Yeah, great question. And I wonder, Dave, because France might not have scored from open play, but they've been rock solid defensively. Spain will be concerned by that. How are they going to break this French defence down?
Well, Spain have got plenty about them. I think they'll fancy themselves to score, but France have got. I think they've probably got more strength in depth in their squad than any other side in the tournament. I still think they're dangerous. We've seen teams bore their way to win the European Championships before, in Portugal in 2016, certainly Greece in 2004. France could be doing that. I mean, France, we don't see this. They're not an underdog like Greece were, but they've been grinding results out, and that's often the way that teams do win tournaments. On form, you fancy Spain. You have to fancy Spain against France, but I think it'll be a cracking game, and you do always expect Mbappe. We saw how well he played in Qatar. He has real star quality. You expect at some point he's going to illuminate the tournament. So that would be the concern, I think, mainly for Spain. OK, let's switch attention now to a different sport. You mentioned grinding out a win. There was none of that from Britain's Emma Raducanu at Wimbledon. She looked in inspired form. In the Telegraph, they've gone with mentality monster. Raducanu powers to landmark win. Watching her out on court, Andy, she looks like she's playing with a smile on her face. She's really enjoying her tennis again.
She said it herself, Jess, though, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a little bit longer, a month ago, she said that she's fallen back in love with tennis, which is a little bit disconcerting when you think she's actually only 21 years of age. So really shouldn't have fallen out of love with tennis in the first place. But it's great to see her like this. It really is. I'm absolutely delighted for her. I hope she goes deeper into the tournament. It really winds me up at times when people say, oh, that US Open win was, some sort of fluke. You don't fluke Grand Slam title wins. I don't care what anyone says. You do not fluke them. It's as simple as that. She's a major talent. After that, coping with that for someone so young and so many off-the-court distractions in terms of commercial deals, people want to get a piece of you commercially, maybe having your head turned by those sorts of things. And being essentially, a young person, having to deal with those. And I thought some of the treatment she was given was really harsh. She's a Grand Slam winner, and what she's shown, I think, so far, what she showed today in beating the number 9 seed and beat a high seed in the previous round, I think, is that she has the game to win a Grand Slam. And we know that because she has won one.
Exactly. And you're right, she is young. She's only 21 years of age. And Dave, this is actually through to the last 16. It matches her best ever record at Wimbledon. How far do you think she can go now? Well,
I think she's got a New Zealander who's outside of the world top 100. So, you know, she'd be well fancied to get to the quarters at least. It's a pretty open field. I mean, you know, she's done it before, as Dunny said. We've waited 3 years for it to really come to the party again. There's been injuries as well as, you know, the distractions and that kind of thing. But I mean, you just want British tennis needs a star at the moment. I think and we said goodbye. We're saying goodbye. We're saying goodbye almost every day, I think, to Andy Murray at the moment. But he's off, and we thought Raducanu. You know, around the time that Murray's career was clearly ending was when Raducanu won in New York. And we're expecting her to be the real darling of Wimbledon, and that's now finally coming around. It's really good for tennis, really good for Wimbledon, because at the start of this tournament, there seems to be a lot of British interest. A lot of the big name male players are now retired or injured, but there's always somebody who comes and grabs the spotlight, and it's great if it can be Raducanu, and she can go all the way. That'd be fantastic. OK, gents, we're almost to time, but I just want to get your thoughts on Arne Slot, the new Liverpool manager who's been speaking to the media today. Andy, he says he's not a Klopp clone. What do you make of him? Yeah, I like him. I mean, I don't know him that well. I like him. I get good reports about what he's done out in Holland. And what I would like him to do now, and maybe we all should do, is let him get on with it. Let's have the K word, the Klopp word, banned from Anfield for a little while now. Andy, it's been a pleasure. Give us your quick opinion, Dave. You've got about 10 seconds. Will he win a trophy in his first season? That's what the fans want to know. No, I don't think so. I'd never want to be the man who replaces the man. So I think on the basis of what happened when Wenger and Fergie left, I don't fancy them, no. OK, fair enough. It's been great to get your thoughts, gents. Andy Dunn from The Mirror and Dave Kidd from The Sun. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on Backpages tonight.